True magic happens when we align our thoughts with the truth of who we really are. This isn't an official book by the author, but a personal and anonymous journey of someone who, in their search for peace and purpose, decided to apply the transformative principles of metaphysics based on Conny Méndez's teachings. Inspired by her wisdom, this traveler found in those principles a guide for every step, every thought, and every challenge life threw their way. More than just words, these chapters reflect a life that changed from within, a life that realized true peace and abundance start in the mind and spread out into the world. Let this audio inspire you to start your own journey toward fulfillment, discovering the power of your being and experiencing the world with a fresh metaphysical perspective and spiritual growth. At the heart of metaphysics, there's something deep inside each of us searching for meaning in everything, what happens around us every morning. Every question that comes up in the quiet of the night. It's like the soul trying to figure out its purpose, its place in such a huge universe. And that's how our story begins, a story of spiritual awakening where the invisible becomes visible and the intangible makes sense. So what is Christian metaphysics? Maybe we should start by asking what this Christian metaphysics actually is. It might sound complicated, but really, it's something everyone can understand. Metaphysics, as I often say, is a lot more accessible than people think, more than just a word. It's a journey inward, a call to see beyond what's on the surface, and to tap into the immense power within each of us. Yeah, a power that can shape our lives and circumstances, open us up to deep peace, healing love, and unshakable faith. So why call it Christian? Because this search, this yearning to understand life and its mysteries, is rooted in the teachings of the greatest teacher, the one who came to remind us that the truth will set you free. Here, what we're looking for is a kind of spirituality that isn't found in books, but in the soulless spirituality you live and feel. One that doesn't demand dogmas or creeds, but invites us to feel and understand, to be ourselves as a reflection of the divine. The journey begins somewhere between pain and hope. The truth is, most of the time we start searching when life hits us hard, when we're drowning in pain or uncertainty. Have you ever wondered why some lives are like that? Some people seem to have it all, while others are full of pain. I've wondered the same thing, and at one point I felt just as lost as you might feel right now. Why do some seem surrounded by love and peace, while others are always struggling? It was that search for answers that pushed me to explore, read, and listen until the answers started showing up. Not from outside, but from within. At its core, Christian metaphysics is about remembering who we really are, believing that there's a spark inside each of us. What can change our life? Our world is an eternal truth, as inside, so outside. Maybe one of the most beautiful and life-changing ideas I've come across is that what's inside us shows up outside. If your heart is full of doubt, fear, or resentment, then the world will reflect those feelings back to you. How many times have we found ourselves caught up in conflicts or tough situations, blaming others, fate, or circumstances? But here's a simple, powerful truth. Life gives back what we put out, what we carry inside. So here comes the big question. How do we change that center? How do we start creating a different reality, one where love and peace are constant? That was the first step on my journey, understanding that we are the creators of our experience, that God has given us the power to shape our world. Yes, we're little creators, and our outer world is just a reflection of what we think and feel. A moment with faith. I remember one night. It's one of those nights when it feels like everything is going wrong. I was feeling bad and found myself praying, but out of fear. How many times have we prayed, not from certainty, but from desperation? In that moment, I felt a soft voice inside me, like a reminder that God, the true Father, isn't a harsh judge or a dictator, but a loving guide always ready to show the way. I began to realize that prayer isn't about begging for help out of desperation, but about connecting with that loving force that lives within each of us. And that was the real key to understand that note. It's not about them being out of our control, but that we're their reflection, and every thought, every word, every intention can shape our destiny. The promise of a new beginning. This is just the start of our story, a first glimpse at what's possible when we decide to take charge of our life and our mindset. Like any good story, there's a promise, Hera, promise of freedom, peace, and a full life. And each chapter will bring us closer and closer to that promise. Like a journey that not only it doesn't just change our life, but our soul. When you read this, you might feel a spark awaken inside you, a longing to know more. It's the spark of the soul recognizing a forgotten truth. Because deep down, Christian metaphysics is just a return to the essence, a reminder that we're here to live in harmony, to be loved, and to see that the world is as beautiful as our thoughts allow us to see it. Fundamental principles of metaphysics, remember. It's the very first moment when those simple principles, the powerful truths revealed to me, were like opening my eyes to a landscape that had always been there, just waiting. It was as if every word echoed inside me, like each principle had been silently waiting for someone to wake it up. In my soul, everything is mind. The law of mentalism is interesting. Everything that seems solid and real in the outside world is just a projection of our mind. Since we were kids, we've learned that the world we see, touch, and experience is the only reality. But there's something deeper, something science hasn't been able to measure, and philosophy can't quite put into words. Everything. His mind said this principle, and at first I have to admit it's hard to grasp. But what if everything we perceive starts with a simple thought? That means our thoughts have a power we can't even imagine. Yeah, exactly what we feel and think. Those ideas that flow like currents inside us, shape our lives, and build our world. And here's the thing, big question, and one I ask myself too. Is it true that our thoughts can create our reality? What you think shows up in your life. Think about how many times a day you say stuff like, nothing ever goes right, life is so hard, or I never have enough. I used to say those things without realizing that every word was like planting a tiny seed in my mind that would grow over time. This idea that what you think becomes real really opened my eyes. I realized that each of those thoughts was shaping my reality. A reality I was creating myself without even realizing it. First, I thought it was impossible to control all my thoughts. Who can do that? But I soon understood it's not about controlling every single one, but about focusing on the most important ones. Holding on to those that truly reflect the kind of life I want. Because if every thought is like a seed, then I have to be really careful about what I plant in my mind. The law of correspondence. What's inside is what shows up outside. Haven't you ever felt like everything around you is just reflecting what's going on inside? Exactly how you feel inside is one of the big laws of metaphysics. As inside, so outside. This law doesn't just apply to our mood, but also to our beliefs and how we see life. It's like reality is a mirror reflecting everything we carry within. If you hold resentment in your heart, the world feels cold and distant. But if you manage to hold love and gratitude, everything seems to change. This principle of correspondence taught me that, it's not about changing the world, but about changing myself. I learned that real change starts from within, and when there's something I don't like in my life, the key is to look inside and see what I need to transform in myself. The law of vibration, everything vibrates, everything moves. One day I felt especially peaceful, like every cell in my body was in sync with a greater force. And that's when I truly felt the truth of this principle. Everything vibrates, everything moves, emotions, thoughts, objects. Everything in the universe is in motion, constant movement, and that vibration is what attracts similar experiences. If we're stuck in thoughts of sadness or anger, we're vibrating at a frequency that only pulls in more of the same. But when we raise our vibration through gratitude, peace, or joy, life becomes light and flowing. It's not magic, it's the law of vibration in action. And that got me wondering, how do I stay at a high vibration when the world seems full of reasons to worry? It's the law of cause and effect. Everything we do has consequences. Everything you do, think, or feel leaves a mark, I told myself. In that moment of reflection, this idea reminded me of those times I wondered why something went wrong, or what I had done to deserve a certain experience. I realized that everything in life follows this law of cause and effect. Nothing is a coincidence. If I plant kindness, I'll receive kindness. If I plant resentment, I'll just get more of the same. Understanding this, I saw that I can be the architect of my own destiny, of course. There are still days when I mess up, when I fall into doubt or anger, but I know that every action I take leads me somewhere, and every choice matters. It's the law of compensation. Everything has its reward. Life, in its wisdom, gives back what we put out. This idea reminds me that the universe never leaves anything empty. Every act of kindness, every positive thought, even those that don't seem to get an immediate response, comes back to us somehow. I like to think of it like a river that keeps flowing, carrying our intentions with us. And one day, when we least expect it, it gives back what we've put out. So what if we lived every day planting good deeds, kind thoughts, and loving gestures? This idea showed me that we're not here just to receive, but to give, to do our part in this endless flow of energy. And the more we give, the more we feel fulfilled. Why? Because these principles change lives. You might be wondering how simple ideas can have so much power. That's what I thought at first too. But it's not just about understanding them. It's about living them, bringing them into your everyday life. Each of these principles taught me to see life from a different perspective. Like every action and thought is part of a bigger, more harmonious dance. Sometimes all we need is a reminder that we're not at the mercy of luck or fate. We have the power to shape our own experiences. And if these principles resonate with you, if you feel something stirring inside, it's because that same ... the truth is inside you, waiting to be awakened. The power of the mind and manifestation. I'd heard again and again that thoughts have power. But it wasn't until I experienced it myself that I truly understood how big that truth is. It's amazing to think that we carry within us an infinite ability to change the world, to shape our reality based on our desires and beliefs. And even though it might sound like a fantasy at first, the deeper you dive into this truth, the clearer it becomes just how huge that potential really is. Inside us lies where the power of the mind is born. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a garden. Every thought, every belief is a seed. And like a good gardener, whatever you plant in that fertile ground will bear fruit. But how often are we really aware of what we're planting? At this point in my journey, I realized that much of what showed up in my life was the result of ideas and emotions I hadn't even consciously chosen. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself where yours come from? Thoughts that rule your day? Power your mind has to create and attract us what metaphysics calls manifestation. You manifest in your life whatever you hold in your mind. It's as simple and as complex as that. So, when I first heard this idea, a question came up inside me. Is it possible that everything I longed for could just come to me by balancing it out? The answer was right there, waiting for me to dare to try, at the power of visualizing with love and certainty. If you close your eyes and visualize ... when you want something, something starts to shift inside you, but it's not just about seeing images in your mind. It's like feeling the experience before it even happens, as if it's already happening right now. If you picture your dream with doubt, lack, or fear, the message you send to your mind is mixed up. But when you do it from a place of love, from the certainty that you deserve all the good things, the energy changes. It's a feeling that doesn't come from the logical mind, but from the soul. I remember one time when I felt ... trapped by circumstances that felt impossible to change. I closed my eyes and asked myself how my life would be if I were already free from this problem. Slowly, I started to picture a life without those barriers. And over time, without even realizing it, the problem began to fade away. It wasn't just a coincidence or some mind power manifesting what I held with love and clarity. The mind is like a magnet. You attract what you think about. Think about it. Every thought you have sends a signal to the universe like a magnet, pulling in experiences there on the same wavelength. If you think the world is tough and life's a constant struggle, you'll see signs of that everywhere. But if you start shifting those thoughts, lifting them up, reality begins to change. 2. It's like the universe is responding to your deepest thoughts, guiding you toward whatever you're holding in your mind. Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle of situations that just keep repeating? Maybe a relationship that's not working, or a job that doesn't fulfill you. A worry that doesn't go away of those experiences. It's a chance to look inside and ask yourself, what thought am I holding on to that's bringing this situation about? And honestly, you realize you have the power to change it. The law of expectation. Believing is creating. One of the most beautiful principles of metaphysics is this: what you expect shows up. Expectation is a powerful force because it's not just about what you want, but what you truly believe is possible. If you expect good things with faith, gratitude brings good things. If you doubt, if you think you're not worthy of what you want, that doubt will show up in your life too. There was a time when my dreams felt so big they seemed out of reach. But I realized it's not about how big or small a dream is. It's about the confidence you have in it. How many times do we let fear or doubt cloud our hope? The key is to expect good things. Truly believe we deserve everything life has to offer. That's how expectation becomes a tool to create a full, meaningful life. The power of declaring with mindful words. Words aren't just sounds, they're commands. Every word you say has the power to build or break, to bring you closer to your dreams or push you away from them. What comes out of the mouth comes from the heart, the teacher said, and there's a lot of truth in that. If you speak from fear, scarcity, or insecurity, that's exactly what you'll get. You'll attract what you say, but if your words show confidence, love, and deep faith, you'll see how those same words open doors that once seemed impossible. There are days when I still slip into negative, impatient talk. But as soon as I catch myself, I stop and choose different words. I tell myself that good things are already on their way, that all the good is already mine. Every word is like a seed, and I'd rather plant words that bring me closer to what I want. Here's how to use this power in life. Daily, you might be wondering how you can start applying this today, even with all your worries and challenges. The key is to make every moment an opportunity to create. If you find yourself in a situation you don't want, instead of resisting it, picture how it would be if it were already resolved. When facing a difficulty, instead of complaining, declare the solution. And above all, always remember that what you think and feel is shaping your life. The mind is like a river, and our experiences are its reflections. Currents flow when you learn to guide that flow, when you allow yourself to dream with the certainty that anything is possible. Then you become the conscious creator of your reality, because the mind and the universe are perfectly in sync, just waiting for you to take the reins and declare what you truly want. The law of mentalism. Everything is mind. Sometimes life feels so tangible, so real, that we forget the mystery behind every experience. We get stuck in problems, in situations that seem unchangeable, and we start to think life is just what's happening outside, something we have to face, plain and simple. But what if everything around us is actually a reflection of something deeper? What if every situation, every person we meet, is just an extension of what's going on in our minds? The realization that everything is mind. I remember the first time I came across this idea. Everything is mind. First, it seemed so abstract, so far from everyday reality. How could it be that everything I saw, touched, and felt was like that? Its origin is in my mind, but the more I thought about it, the clearer it became that the law of mentalism isn't just some random idea, it's a deep truth. It invites us to see ourselves as creators, as artists of our own lives. The mind, as I found out, is the canvas, and every thought and emotion is like a brush we use to paint our reality. How does this law show up in everyday life? Often without even realizing it, we're caught up in thoughts that shape what we go through. If we believe that the world, it's a hostile place, everything we see seems to confirm that. But when we change that perception, when we start to see through different eyes, it's like the world responds to that inner change. Have you ever noticed that when you feel at peace, people and situations seem to line up with that feeling? So how do we apply this law? First, by realizing that our mind isn't just a bystander in life, but the source of everything we experience. Everything is mind. That phrase holds the key to understanding this. Asterisk. The outside world is just a reflection of what's inside. These thoughts that build up and thoughts that break down. Thoughts are like seeds, each one with the potential to turn into something real. If we feed our minds with thoughts of love and gratitude, those thoughts show up in our lives. But if we let fear and scarcity take root in our minds, that's exactly what we'll end up dealing with. How many times have we let doubt and fear take over our lives without realizing that it's these thoughts that attract our experiences? I remember a time when everything around me seemed to be in chaos. My relationships, my job, my well-being, everything felt tangled in a spiral of confusion. In that moment, I asked myself, what thoughts have I been feeding lately? The answer was eye-opening. I realized I had let doubt and insecurity take over my mind, and the world was just reflecting that same vibe back to me. Changing reality starts from ... inside is where the law of mentalism becomes a powerful tool. If everything is mind, then the power to change any situation lies within. By changing our thoughts, we change what we attract and what we experience. This doesn't mean everything instantly becomes perfect, but little by little, as we align our thoughts with what we want to see in our lives, we start to notice how the universe responds. If you want peace, start thinking about peace. If you want abundance, visualize it. Pay attention to what you focus on with your physical eyes and what you imagine intensely. So when you want something, make it yours in your mind, and life will find a way to reflect that image. It's hard to believe that everything is in the mind. It's normal for this idea to seem strange or even impossible. We've grown up thinking life happens outside of us, that we're victims of circumstances, of what others decide, or of chance. But when we understand this law, we realize we're not just spectators, we're creators. We realize that ... the power of the mind goes beyond what we imagine. So when things aren't going well, and it feels like the world is throwing obstacles at you, ask yourself this question. What am I holding in my mind that's creating this situation? By doing this, you become aware that you have the power to change the story, to create from love and trust. When you choose thoughts of love and trust in life, it's like the universe conspires to give you the same back. The law of mentalism isn't just a theory, it's an invitation to live by. The intention to decide what we want to focus on all starts in the mind. Every thought is a choice, and that choice has the power to build or destroy. And even though it might seem hard, you can train your mind to think about what you really want to see happen. At first, it can be tough, especially if we're used to negative or worried thoughts. But every time you choose a thought filled with love and peace, you're planting a seed that will grow in your life. The journey toward this new reality we're experiencing isn't about trying to control everything, but about remembering that the power to change our lives lies in our minds. Everything is mind, and that means we have the ability to live a life filled with love, peace, and fulfillment. What if instead of letting automatic thoughts run our day, we consciously chose the ones we want to see reflected in our lives? The core idea behind the law of mentalism: recognize that our mind is the source of everything, and by changing what we think, we change our reality. So every morning when you open your eyes, ask yourself, what do I want to create today? When your answer is clear, hold on to those thoughts. Make them yours, and watch how the world starts to respond to that new vibe. Because really, everything is mind, and that's the greatest power we carry inside. Limiting beliefs and the subconscious, there's a part of our mind that acts like a guardian. Silent, a space where we store experiences, lessons, and ideas that over time we've accepted as truth. We call it the subconscious. And even though we can't see it, it influences every part of our lives, every decision we make, every chance we let slip by. Often that same space holding our memories and learnings is also what keeps us stuck in. Limiting beliefs like invisible chains stopping us from reaching what we want. So what exactly are beliefs? Let's think about all those phrases we've heard over and over. You can't do that. He's for others. Money is hard to make. You don't deserve something that good. Each of those phrases may be said by the people around us, society, or even ourselves. finds a place in our subconscious. Over time, those ideas turn into beliefs. A belief is just a thought we've repeated so many times that we end up accepting it as an absolute truth. But what happens when those ... our beliefs hold us back? We go in saying, "I can't," before even trying. We feel like we're not good enough, like there's some invisible barrier stopping us from moving forward. Have you ever been in that spot? I have, and I found out those beliefs aren't set in stone. They're just thoughts we've piled up. And if we put them there, we can take them out too. I like to think of the subconscious like a hidden garden, a fertile space where every thought ... every belief grows quietly. But like in any garden, some plants are flowers and others are weeds. The flowers are those ideas that inspire us, that push us to be better, to believe in ourselves. The weeds, on the other hand, are limiting beliefs. They tell us we can't, that we don't deserve it, that life is a constant struggle. This is where the real work begins. What kind of seeds have we planted in that hidden garden? Every time we say, "I can't," or "I'm not enough," we're planting a seed. Over time, these will grow into limitations. But if we start planting new ideas and nurture them with love and patience, we'll see those limiting beliefs fade away, replaced by a new way of thinking and living. Sometimes the first step to overcoming what's holding us back is simply recognizing those limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, what ideas about yourself have you accepted without questioning? What inherited or imposed thoughts have you turned into truths? Taking control of your life is like turning on a light in a dark garden. You start to clearly see what was hidden. I remember one time when I realized a belief had been running my life without me even noticing. I always thought opportunities only came to those with more experience, more knowledge, more resources. That idea made me feel small, like I couldn't reach certain dreams. But when I understood that thought was just a belief, not reality, ... I started to question who told me I wasn't capable and why I believed it. That answer set me free. Sometimes freedom begins with just asking, is this really true? The process of reprogramming your subconscious starts once you identify a limiting belief. The next step is to replace it with a new idea, one that reflects the life you want. It's like uprooting a plant that's been in your garden for a long time and planting a new one. It's like a seed. But this new seed needs to be watered with positive thoughts and affirmations of what you truly want to believe. That's how I started using affirmations. Little phrases I repeated over and over until they became a part of me. I am capable. I deserve the best. Life supports me. At first, those phrases just felt like words, but over time, the subconscious starts to accept them, begins to see them as new truths, and those truths start showing up in reality. Change the way you talk to yourself. One of the most powerful things we can do inside the judgment of acceptance is change the way we talk to ourselves. If every day you tell yourself, "I'm not enough," or "I don't deserve this," those words become the foundation of your beliefs. But if you learn to speak to yourself with love, to remind yourself of your own abilities, then your inner dialogue changes and your subconscious receives that new message. How many times do we judge ourselves harshly, criticize ourselves without mercy? Starting to treat ourselves with compassion and love is the key. The first step to healing those limiting beliefs isn't about ignoring our flaws, but about remembering that we're human, here to learn and grow, and that we have the power to change our lives from within. Why is it important to break free from these beliefs? Imagine a life where every dream and desire is possible, a life where you're not afraid to try, to fail, or to try again. That life is possible when we let go of limiting beliefs, because as long as we live with them, ... the ideas that hold us back mean we're only living a small part of who we really are. Every limiting belief we let go of is a step closer to true freedom, a life where we can just be ourselves. Without the chains of "I can't" or "I'm not enough," because honestly, each of us carries an infinite potential inside, a divine spark just waiting to be awakened. The power of positive thinking life has shown me time and again just how powerful it is. Asterisk. Positive thinking isn't just a motivational phrase, it's a truth that changes us from the inside, lights up our soul, and gives new meaning to everything we do. Thinking positively is way more than just seeing the bright side. It's like lighting a candle in the dark, a force that can change our reality and bring us the peace we deeply crave. So, what exactly is positive thinking? Sometimes when we talk about it, people get it mixed up with something else. A naive attitude like acting as if we don't know what affects us or avoiding facing reality couldn't be further from the truth. Thinking positively is an act of courage. It's the conscious decision to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. It's remembering that even when there are problems and difficulties, we always have the power to choose a different response, to focus on possibilities, growth, peace, and the transformation of a mindset. I remember a time when it felt like nothing was going right, problems everywhere. They piled up one on top of the other, and every day it felt like a dark cloud was following me. Then someone told me every thought is a choice. At first I didn't get it, but I started to try it out. I wondered what would happen if I chose to think differently about this situation, and when I did, I felt a kind of relief. Subtle, but powerful shift. It was like just seeing things from a different perspective. Looking for the positive side set me free. Positive thinking doesn't always change reality right away, but changing the way we experience life lets us see opportunities where we once saw obstacles. It gives us strength when we thought there was nothing left. It's an internal change that slowly starts to show on the outside. So how do you cultivate positive thinking? Life is full of tests and challenges, and often the first things that come up are doubt, fear, and insecurity. This is where positive thinking becomes a conscious act. It's almost like a habit. Every time a negative thought pops up, we should pause and question it. We can ask ourselves, is this really true? Or what could be different in this situation? It's like watering a plant at first. You don't see much change, but over time, positive thinking grows and blossoms inside us. I've learned it's not about ignoring what hurts, but about flipping it around to find the lesson, the chance to grow in every situation. That's the power of positive thinking. Being positive in everyday life. Over the years, I've seen how positive thinking can transform even the darkest moments. Have you noticed that when you start the day with gratitude and hope, things just seem to flow better? It's like the world responds to that energy, that mindset of looking for the good. The same happens in relationships, at work, and with your health. It's not that positive thinking is some magic formula, but it creates a different vibe, a kind of energy that pulls the best things toward us. And just like that, attracting the good also pushes away what doesn't serve us. When our mind is full of constructive thoughts and high-minded ideas, there's no room for negativity, complaints, or doubts. Our mind becomes fertile ground, a place where only uplifting ideas grow. Positive thinking is a source of inner peace. Positive thinking doesn't just change our outer life. It's an endless source of peace inside. When we choose thoughts that fill us with hope, love, and gratitude, we feel our being align as worries lose their weight and everything feels lighter. I remember that in moments of anxiety or distress, I would remind myself that I could always choose what to focus on. And by doing that, the peace I was searching for would soon show up, no matter how chaotic life gets around us. Positive thinking is like an inner refuge, a place we can always go back to when things don't go as expected, when the world feels upside down. Choosing positive thoughts lets us, standing firm, gives us the clarity to make decisions, and connects us to our deepest selves. Is it really possible to stay positive all the time? I know the question comes up. Can we always stay positive? Honestly, the answer is no. We're human, and life has its ups and downs. There are days when fear, sadness, or frustration show up, and that's okay. Thinking positively doesn't mean ignoring those feelings, but allowing ourselves to feel them and then letting them go. Remembering that we always have the the power to choose how we want to think again. Every positive thought is like a little victory over the darkness, a way of saying that even though the world has its challenges, we get to decide how to face them. No matter how many times we fall, what really matters is that we get back up each time, that we pick a thought that inspires us, that reminds us of who we truly are. So, how can we make positive thinking a habit? Start every morning with gratitude. When you wake up, Be thankful for something, even if it's small. Those words of thanks are like a ray of light that brightens your day. Then pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day. When a negative one pops up, stop, question what's wrong, and replace it with a thought that brings you peace. Above all, be patient with yourself. This journey isn't straight or easy, but every time you choose a positive thought, you're changing your world and transforming your reality towards a full life. Positive thinking isn't just a tool, it's a way of living. A daily choice to see the beauty in every moment and find hope in every situation. This chapter invites you to experience its power, to find that light that's always there for you, even in tough times. The power of the decree, the creative word. There's huge strength in every word we speak, a quiet yet powerful force that shapes and builds our reality. This creative power shows up through the words we choose to say.
Ow.
And even if we don't always notice it, our words are like commands we send out into the universe, affirmations that shape our reality.
What does
it mean to decree? Decreeing is way more than just talking or stating a wish. It's a statement of faith, a conscious act of creation. Every time we say something with conviction, truly believing it's true, we're making a decree, and that decree becomes a seed that time blooms in our lives. To decree is to use the power of words to bring about what we want, to align our intentions with the universe. I remember the first time I really understood this. I was in a place where I felt stuck, like nothing was moving forward. I started saying without much thought, I never get what I want. Nothing ever goes as planned. And without realizing it, each of those words became my reality. My world was reflecting my own declarations. That's when it clicked for me. What we say, what we affirm, has the power to create the word as a creator of reality. Every word we speak carries a vibration, an energy that goes out and comes back to us. Have you noticed how words can change the energy of a place or a situation? When we say words of love and gratitude, the atmosphere transforms. It becomes warm and full of light. But when our words are filled with complaints and anger, everything seems to darken. That's because the word ... words have the power to create, build, or destroy. I thought about it for a moment. If every word is like a seed, what are we planting in our lives with what we say? What are we consciously or unconsciously affirming about our health, our relationships, our success? This is the power of the decree, the ability to choose each word like a brick in building our destiny. How do we use the decree consciously? The key is in the intention, in the energy we put into every single word. It's not enough to just say something superficially. A decree requires conviction. It's like every word carries a vibration that the universe recognizes and responds to. So when we want something, when we long for a change, we have to learn to declare it firmly, like it's already on its way. I started practicing positive affirmations in my daily life. Instead of saying, I hope things go well, I began saying, everything goes well for me. Life supports me at every step I take. And little by little, I saw how that positive energy, it came through with every decree, starting to come back to me as experiences full of light and harmony. It's magic. It's the power of using the word consciously. Saying I am is important. There are two words that, when spoken, activate a special energy. I am. Every time we say I am, we're affirming something about ourselves, identifying who we are. And in the same way, when we say I am weak or I am not enough, those words also resonate in our reality. I remember one day when I felt especially vulnerable and insecure, I started saying quietly, I am strong, I am capable, I am enough. At first, my mind tried to resist, like those words didn't match how I felt. But something deep inside began to change, and suddenly I felt calm, a certainty within me. That's the power of saying I am. Every time we say it, we're calling on our true selves, waking up a power that was asleep. Why do our words have so much power? Words are like arrows we shoot out. The universe and everything in it finds a target, not because our words have some mystical power on their own, but because they express what we believe and feel. That's why the universe responds to them. When we speak with love, gratitude, and confidence, we attract experiences that match those vibes. But when our words are full of fear, complaints, or doubt, those same energies come back to us. If every word has the power to create, what do we want to create in our lives? What kind of reality do we want to see come true? That's the power of a decree, the ability to take control of our words and use them as a bridge to the life we want to create. In daily life, we sometimes think decreeing is just about repeating positive affirmations like a ritual, but it's more than that. It's the intention with which we live each day, how we connect with ourselves and others. You can declare that today will be a good day, that your relationships will be. Every step you take brings you closer to your dreams, and by doing this, you're not just planting seeds of love and peace in your life. You're also reminding yourself of the power you have to create your own reality. Every morning when you wake up, take a moment to decide how you want your day to go. Say out loud, "Today, I am surrounded by peace and abundance. Today, I attract opportunities and blessings." And watch how those words show up in your life. Because when you declare them, you're aligning yourself with them. Your energy comes from the essence of who you really are. Faith and fear are two sides of the same coin. Along the way, I've learned that faith and fear are powerful forces inside us. They seem opposite, but both actually come from the same place: our ability to imagine what hasn't happened yet, to send our energy into an unknown future. Faith and fear are two sides of the same coin, and in every situation, it's up to us to choose which one we want. What is faith? Faith is way more than just believing in something you can't see. It's a force that drives us, giving us peace and strength even when things aren't clear. It's that sure feeling in the good, the divine, the perfect order of the universe. Faith is like a lighthouse guiding us through the fog. A gentle voice whispering that everything's going to be all right, even if you can't see it right now. I remember so many times when faith was my refuge, my safe place. There were days when everything seemed dark, when problems felt overwhelming. People bigger than me, and in those moments I would close my eyes and feel a presence. A certainty that no matter what happens, everything will be okay. Faith doesn't always need proof. Just exists like a flame burning deep inside the soul. Fear, on the other hand, is that voice that fills us with doubts and insecurities, making us imagine the worst. It makes us see every obstacle as an unbreakable barrier, believe we're alone, and think the world is against us. Fear is also a projection. Our mind tricks us into imagining things we don't want, seeing chances of failure even when nothing has happened yet. Fear, though it feels huge, is just the absence of faith, a blank space our mind fills with worries. It's natural to feel that way. We've all been through moments of doubt and fear, but real strength comes from realizing that fear is just a choice. So why choose it when we know there's another option? Faith and fear are two sides of the same coin, because both come from the mind projecting into the unknown. Faith and fear share the same origin, the ability of our mind to imagine. Faith looks to the future with hope and trust that good things are coming, while fear projects uncertainty and doubt. The only difference is where we direct that creative power, toward what we want or toward what we're afraid of. Every time we feel fear, we can pause and ask ourselves, what if? I choose to have faith instead of fear. It's a conscious decision, a choice that makes us see the future differently. If we have the power to imagine, why not imagine it better? If that strength lives inside us, why not use it to bring peace and trust? Turning fear into faith is an act of self-love. It's about accepting that even if we don't know what's going to happen, we can always trust that there's a reason and an order beyond what we see. What we can see is that faith doesn't get rid of problems, but it changes how we deal with them. It gives us the confidence that every obstacle is an opportunity, that every difficulty brings us closer to who we really are. I remember a time when fear paralyzed me. I kept asking myself, what if I don't make it? What if everything goes wrong? But in that moment of doubt, I decided to stop and change the question. Instead of asking, what if it goes wrong? I started saying, what if everything goes right? What if the universe has something beautiful waiting for me? That simple decision changed everything for me. The experience hadn't changed my outside situation, but inside me, fear had given way to hope, to a deep peace, faith like an anchor in the middle of the storm. Life has its calm moments and its stormy ones, and it's precisely in those tough times that faith becomes an anchor. It's easy to trust when everything's going well, but true faith is what holds on when things seem to be falling apart. It's that strength that tells us that even if we can't see the way forward, every step we take brings us closer to where we're meant to be. When fear starts creeping in, remember you have a choice. You can turn your back on fear and look towards faith. You can remind yourself that even when things seem uncertain, there's always a higher power guiding you. Everything has a purpose, even if we don't get it right now. Faith isn't blind. It's a deeper vision, a sure feeling that we're exactly where we're supposed to be, and that the universe is working in our favor. How to build faith in life. Cultivating faith every day is all about consistent practice.
Nice.
Every challenge is a chance to choose faith over fear. It starts with something as simple as being thankful for what you have, who you are, and every experience that's come your way. Gratitude strengthens faith because it reminds us there's always something good, there's always a hidden blessing. When something scary comes up, take a moment to breathe and tell yourself, I have faith that everything will be okay, even if you don't feel it yet. Saying those words in that moment is an act of courage, like planting a seed in your heart, a seed that will grow and bloom, filling you with confidence and peace. It's the foolproof formula for transformation. Throughout my life, I've searched for answers in every corner, every experience, every person I've been lucky enough to meet. But there was always something missing, an essential piece that would completely change not just how I saw the world, but how I lived in it. One day, in a moment of deep ... I realized there's a simple formula mix of thoughts and actions that can spark real change and open us up to a life full of purpose and fulfillment. So what's this formula for transformation? Need to know it's not complicated or out of reach. It's something we all carry in our hearts, just waiting for us to discover it and put it into practice. It's 3 steps, 3 pillars that when we bring them into our daily lives, they transform us from the inside out. Outside, these pillars are clear intention, conscious action, and trust in the process. First pillar, clear intention. Every real change starts with a clear intention. It's like setting your destination before starting the journey. Intention is the force that fuels us, focusing our mind and heart on what we truly want. But for it to work, that intention has to be genuine, coming from deep within. I remember one of my darkest moments, when I felt like life had no direction. I asked myself what I really wanted. It was a simple question, but it opened up a whole world of answers that had been asleep inside me. Defining that intention was like turning on a light in the middle of darkness. If you don't know where you want to go, how do you expect to get there? Intention is the first step, the spark that starts the change. The second pillar is conscious action. Once we're clear on our intention, it's time to take action, but not just any kind. It's not just about taking action, but about taking conscious action. That means acting from the heart, with commitment to our intention, knowing that every step, no matter how small, brings us closer to our goal. Conscious action isn't about doing a lot, but about doing what's right, making every decision with love, purpose, and the certainty that every move matters. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They have the intention, but don't take action. So the question is, how can I change my life if I'm not taking action? Ready to act intention without action is like a dream you never wake up from. It gets you nowhere. So do something, anything, but do it with your whole heart, knowing every step counts. Third pillar, trust the process. Finally, the last piece of this puzzle is trusting the process. This might be the hardest part because it means letting go and trusting the unknown. Believing that even if we can't see the whole path, we're being guided to where we need to be. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. Another is a journey, an evolution that takes patience and faith. There was a time when I fought against every setback, feeling like each obstacle was a barrier to my dreams. But over time I realized that every obstacle, every detour, was part of my growth. Trusting the process taught me to let go of control and understand that the universe has its own pace. Sometimes what looks like a detour is actually a shortcut to what we truly need. Because this is foolproof, because it touches every part of who we are, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Clear intention gives direction to the mind. Conscious action moves the body, and trust in the process fuels the spirit. When these three are in sync, nothing can stop us. Transformation becomes inevitable. This formula isn't some magic fix. It's a daily commitment, a constant reminder that we have the power to create our own lives, no matter how many times we fall. No matter how many times we doubt, what matters is going back to the formula, the three pillars that keep us steady on our path. Here's an example of transformation. I remember a time when I was full of doubts, feeling like my life wasn't moving forward. I asked myself, how can I change my reality? So, I decided to apply this formula. First, I defined my intention. I wanted to feel peace, to live in harmony. Then I started taking small actions that reflected that peace, from the way I spoke to how I organized my day. And finally, I trusted the process. Even though I didn't see immediate results, I was on the right track. Over time, I started to see my life change. The peace I was looking for outside began to grow inside me. It was a slow process, sometimes tough, but that formula gave me the guidance I needed, the structure to build a new reality. You can use this formula in your everyday life, in any part of it, to relationships, your job, your health. Whenever you feel like something's off, aligned, go back to this formula. Ask yourself, what's my real intention here? Then take action, no matter how small, that reflects that intention. Finally, trust, let go of control, and let the universe do its part. This formula is a reminder that you have the power to change every part of your life. You don't need big resources or complicated knowledge, just the will to put these three pillars into practice. Because true transformation doesn't come from outside, it starts within. Your inner world is in the intention you put into every thought, every action, every breath. The principle of correspondence, like above, so below. Sometimes all it takes is looking at the world around us to uncover deep truths, to understand that there's a sacred order, a connection between what's happening inside and what shows up outside. This principle, as old as life itself, reminds us that like above, so below, like inside, so outside. It invites us to look at our lives and ... Our experiences are like a reflection, a projection of what's going on deep inside us. What does that mean? It's the idea that as above, so below. This principle is simple but deep. It tells us that what happens on a spiritual level shows up in the physical world. The universe and our being are connected. There's no separation between what we feel and what we go through. If there's peace inside us, that peace will show up outside. But if our heart is full of chaos or fear, the world around us will reflect that too. I remember a time when everything around me felt chaotic. My relationships were strained. Work wasn't going anywhere and my health was fragile. That's when I paused and asked myself, what's going on inside me that's showing up like this in my life? Right then, I realized the core of this idea. There's a perfect connection between my inner world and the outside one. Heart act like a mirror, reflecting back what's inside us. The physical world is just what we keep deep inside us. Every thought, every feeling we hold within finds its way into the outside world. So, if we live with thoughts of love, gratitude, and abundance, that's what we'll see around us. But if our mind is filled with complaints, fear, or resentment, the universe will only reflect that back to us. So how can we change what we experience? By seeing our world as a mirror, we realize that change starts from within. It all starts inside. It's not about controlling what's outside, but about changing what's inside us. Every time we look for a solution out there, the principle of correspondence reminds us that the real answer lies within. Keeping inner harmony is key. Imagine the universe as a huge ocean, and each of us is just a drop in that vast sea. If we're at peace inside, our drop blends smoothly with the ocean's harmony. But if there's conflict inside us, that same drop ... water is disturbed and creates small waves that spread out around it. This idea encourages us to keep peace and harmony inside ourselves, knowing that by doing so, our outside world will also be filled with peace. I remember a time when the first thing I did upon waking was to check my worries and relive my fears. And that's what I encountered throughout the day: people in a rush, conflicts, obstacles. It was only when I started cultivating calmness right when I woke up, choosing to fill my heart with gratitude, that I began to see things differently. That peace showed up in every part of my life, the little world inside me and the big world outside are reflections of the whole. This idea teaches us that we're a small version of the bigger universe, like a tiny copy of everything that exists. Just like the universe has its laws and cycles, so do we. Just as there's darkness and light in the universe, those same opposites exist inside us. And when we accept this connection, when we understand that we're part of something much bigger, everything changes. Our life takes on a whole new meaning. Like when we look at ourselves and understand our own emotions and thoughts, we're also getting a glimpse of the universe's mystery. Because everything out there in the big cosmos has its counterpart inside us, every star. Every movement of the planets is reflected in our feelings and experiences. So, how do we use this idea in everyday life? Applying this principle is as simple as it is deep. A constant reminder that change starts from within. When something in our life isn't working the way we want, when we face challenges, we can pause and ask ourselves, what's going on inside me that's showing up like this? If there are conflicts in our relationships, we can ask if there's resentment or unforgiveness in our hearts. If we're dealing with financial problems, maybe it's time to take a look at our beliefs about abundance and scarcity. When we apply this ... in everyday life, we realize that every challenge is a chance to grow, to heal, to change. Wisdom comes from looking inward. True wisdom isn't about controlling the outside world, but mastering yourself. This idea teaches us that real change starts inside, in how we think, feel, and see things. So whenever we face a problem or something bothers us, we have the chance to look within and heal. What needs attention is like taking care of a garden. If we see the flowers aren't growing, we don't just blame the soil. We look at what those plants need, how we can nourish them. We nurture and care for our inner world. Love as a creative force. They say love is the most powerful force in the universe. And the deeper I go down this path, the more I realize how true that is. It's not just about romantic love or affection between friends and family, but a deep energy. A universal essence that holds all creation together. Love is the vibration that shapes every thought, every action, every atom in the cosmos. It's the spark that ignites life, the seed that blooms into peace, abundance, and fullness. What is love as a creative force? Love in its purest form isn't just a feeling, it's a state of being, a frequency that, when it shows up in us, changes everything it touches. It's the energy that connects us to everything, reminding us we're not separate from creation, that we are part of it. Love is the beginning and the end, the driving force behind everything that exists, the source of life itself. I remember the first time I truly understood what it meant to live on this frequency of love. It wasn't in a moment of joy or a perfect relationship. It was during a challenge when I had to choose between fear and love. Choosing love, I felt a peace I'd never known before, a sense of connection to something way bigger than myself. From that moment on, I understood that. Love is the real creative power. It's one that can shape our lives in ways logic and effort never could. Love is what creates our reality. Every time we think, speak, or act from love, we're planting seeds of harmony in our world. Have you noticed how a situation changes when we approach it with love instead of anger or impatience? It's like love breaks down the walls between us, opening the door to a solution. To understanding, a genuine connection means understanding that love is the key to making our dreams come true. When we put love into what we want and let that energy guide our choices, the universe responds not because love is some kind of trick, but because it's the natural vibration of everything that exists. Love attracts and creates. It's the frequency that supports abundance, peace, and joy. So, how do you practice love as a creative force in everyday life? It means acting from a place of love, peace, and compassion, even when it's not easy. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can choose how to respond. And every time we respond with love, we're creating a brighter reality, changing the course of our lives. Start with something simple. Every morning before your day begins, take a moment to connect with that energy of love. Be grateful, even for what you don't understand, even for what challenges you. Remember, every situation is a chance to choose love. Let this force guide you. Love and healing. Love is also the energy that heals us, and those around us. When we choose to love, accept, and understand ourselves, we're giving ourselves the chance to heal old wounds and let go of burdens we've carried for years. And as we heal, we radiate that peace and fullness to others. I remember a time when I was struggling with an old wound, something that seemed like it would never heal. One day, instead of judging myself or fighting it, I decided to simply love myself and embrace that part. Even though it still hurt, I didn't try to change it or hide. It just offered love. And in that moment, I felt something inside me let go, like that wound finally started to heal. Love, as I found out, doesn't need us to be whole before it comes in. Love is what makes us whole. Love in our relationship. Every relationship is a chance to practice love as a creative force. It's not always easy. Sometimes the people we love challenge us, make us face our own shadows. But it's exactly in those moments that love shows us its true power. Choosing to love despite our differences, despite the conflicts. It's about choosing to build bridges instead of walls. When we connect from a place of love, we create an energy that transforms words. They stop being just sounds and become acts of creation. When we speak with love, when we listen with love, our relationships blossom, deepen, and become a reflection of that universal energy that connects us all. He argues that love is the most powerful creative force. Love is the most powerful creative force because it's the essence of life itself. Everything that exists, every atom, every star, every living being carries that spark of love inside. When we connect with that energy, we align ourselves with the natural flow of the universe, with its order and wisdom. We don't need to do big things to live on this frequency. Small acts of love in our daily lives are enough. A kind gesture, a word of encouragement, a genuine smile, a silent prayer. Of these acts shows love. They prove that we have the power to change our surroundings. Loving ourselves is key to creating and expressing love. To truly show love, we first have to love, accept, and take care of ourselves and recognize our worth. Only when we're at peace with ourselves can we share that peace with others. Loving isn't just about others. It's a choice to honor ourselves. 2. The life we carry inside sometimes makes us think that self-love is selfishness. But nothing could be further from the truth. Loving ourselves is the foundation for creating a life full of abundance, peace, and well-being. It's like filling our own cup so we can share with others. If we don't give ourselves love, we won't be able to genuinely give it to others. The law of forgiveness and letting go of resentment throughout our lives. We often carry the weight of pain, wounds left unhealed, and words that pierce the soul. Mistakes are hard to forgive, both in others and in ourselves. But on this path to inner peace and fulfillment, there's a law we can't ignore. The law of forgiveness. It's a quiet but powerful law that calls us to let go of what weighs us down, to release the grudges that hold us back, and to open ourselves to a life full of freedom and peace. What is the law of forgiveness? It teaches us that to live in peace and reach true inner freedom, we have to learn to forgive. It's a law that forgiving goes beyond just saying sorry or letting go on the surface. It means truly freeing yourself finally dropping the heavy burden of what's been holding you back. It's something we do not only for others, but for ourselves too. Because even if we don't realize it, every grudge and every bit of resentment is like a chain that ties us down and stops us from moving forward. I remember once carrying a deep grudge against someone who hurt me, and I felt that bitterness becoming a part of me. Like every negative thought did, I was moving further away from the peace I so badly wanted. That's when I realized that forgiving wasn't doing a favor for that person. It was an act of love for myself. It was freeing myself from a burden I no longer wanted to carry. Resentment is like a prison for the soul, even though it sometimes feels like it gives us control or justice. It's actually a cage we build around our hearts. Every time we remember a hurt and feel that anger again, it's like we're stoking the fire of something that should have died down. If we stay stuck in our emotions, it's like we become prisoners of them, and that steals our peace and stops us from fully living in the present. Have you ever felt trapped in resentment, going over the same stories in your mind, reliving the same pain? That's a sign that something needs to be let go, that there's a wound crying out for healing. And even though it's hard to accept, the only way to heal is through forgiveness. Forgiving deep wounds isn't always easy. Sometimes the wounds run so deep that forgiving feels like betraying our own pain. But the truth is, forgiveness doesn't erase the hurt. Instead, it honors it, acknowledges it, and then gently lets it go. Forgiving means accepting that we can't change the past, but we can choose how we want to live right now. When I faced one of those deep wounds, I started asking myself, what do I want to hold on to in my heart? Do I want to keep clinging to the pain, or do I want to free up that space for something else? It was a slow process, but every day I consciously chose to let go a little more, to give myself permission to heal and to free myself. Over time, I realized that by forgiving, love and peace started filling the spaces that resentment once took up. Forgiveness, as an act of self-love, we sometimes think it's a gift we give to others, but really, it's the most beautiful act of self-love we can offer ourselves. When we forgive, we're telling ourselves that we deserve peace, that we deserve to live without the weight of the past. We allow ourselves to close chapters, heal our wounds, and open up to a fuller life. It's common to think that forgiving means being weak or giving up our dignity. But real strength lies in forgiveness, the ability to say, this no longer defines me, it doesn't control me. In the end, forgiveness is the key that opens the door to a freedom we didn't know before, a freedom we can only feel when we let go of the past and embrace the peace of the present. And how do we forgive ourselves? We not only need to learn to forgive others, but we also have to forgive ourselves. Sometimes the deepest wounds are the ones we inflict on ourselves. We punish ourselves for mistakes, for decisions we think we made wrong, for words we said without thinking. But forgiveness also asks us to let go, to learn to see ourselves with compassion and heal that relationship we have with ourselves. I remember a time when I couldn't forgive myself for a mistake I made. I kept judging and blaming myself all the time in my mind. That grudge kept holding me back until one day I told myself, if you can forgive others, why can't you forgive yourself? At that moment, I realized that forgiveness is a choice rooted in love, and by forgiving myself, I was giving myself permission to grow, to learn, and to move forward. Forgiveness brings a kind of freedom. It's like dropping a heavy weight off your shoulders. It's like finally taking a deep breath after holding it in for so long. When we forgive, something inside us, we lighten up and feel how peace starts to fill the space that resentment used to take. That's the magic of forgiveness. It doesn't change the past, but it transforms the present. Every time we forgive, we're building a path to freedom and inner peace. It's not about forgetting, but about remembering without pain, accepting that every experience and every person who's been in our life has been part of our learning. By letting go of resentment, we free ourselves from the weight of the past and open up to a fuller, richer life. Authentic forgiveness in daily life. Practicing forgiveness is something we do every day. It's not a one-time thing. It's a constant choice. Every day we come across little chances to forgive, to let go, to free ourselves. Whenever someone hurts us or things don't go the way we hoped, we can either hold on to the pain or release it with love. Each morning when you wake up, you can start with a simple prayer. Today, I choose to forgive. Today, I choose to let go of everything that no longer serves me. Do it as an act of freedom, as a reminder that forgiveness is the way to peace. The power of affirmations for health and prosperity. Sometimes we forget that inside us is a creative force that can change every part of our lives. Health and prosperity aren't just about material things. They reflect our inner state, the energy we hold, and the words we say. In that sense, affirmations become a powerful tool, a bridge between our mind and our reality. Every word we speak, every ... the statement we hold has the power to shape our experience in the world. What is a decree? Decreeing is more than just talking. It's a conscious and powerful declaration of what we want to see happen in our lives. When we decree something, we do it with conviction and certainty, knowing that our words carry a vibration that affects our being and our surroundings. It's like planting a seed in the fertile ground of our minda, seed that over time blooms into our experiences. I remember when ... I discovered the power of affirmations. I realized how many times I'd been making negative statements without even noticing every time. Said, I never have enough or I get sick easily. I was planting those ideas in my life. But when I switched those negative statements to positive, conscious affirmations, I started seeing my health and prosperity thrive. I learned that what we say with faith and conviction has the power to change our reality. Our health doesn't just depend on ... Our physical health is also deeply influenced by our beliefs and words. If we keep telling ourselves that we're weak or prone to getting sick, our body responds to those words because it listens to every thought and word we say. But if instead we start declaring health, affirming that our body is strong and every cell is full of life and energy, that declaration begins to create a new reality for us. There was a time when I constantly felt drained, like my energy was totally wiped out. One day, I decided to change the way I talked to myself and started saying, my body is a temple of health, and every day I feel stronger and more alive. First, it was just a phrase, but over time I began to actually feel that renewed energy, like my body was responding to the power of my words. This isn't just an empty statement, it's a call to vital energy, an invitation for our body to align with the health we want. The decree is ... prosperity, like health, reflects our inner state and the beliefs we hold about abundance. If we live thinking that prosperity is scarce and only a few deserve it, that's the reality we'll experience. But if we declare that prosperity is our right, that the universe is full of resources, and abundance is a flow we can tap into, then our lives will start to show that new vision. I remember times when ... I used to think prosperity was hard to reach and only meant for a few. But one day, I decided to change that mindset. I started telling myself, I'm a magnet for prosperity. Every day I bring in abundance and opportunities. It didn't happen overnight, but little by little, I noticed new opportunities coming my way. My relationship with money changed, and abundance showed up in my life in unexpected ways. In the end, I realized that prosperity is an energy, and our words are the key to attracting it. Create powerful affirmations for health and prosperity. Making strong affirmations doesn't need to be complicated, just takes clarity, conviction, and love. First, decide what you want to see happen in your life. If it's health, say with confidence, every cell in my body is full of life and health. If it's prosperity, declare abundance flows to me in every part of my life. The key is to say these affirmations with faith, like they're already true. It's not about wishing or hoping, but about firmly stating what you want. It's already on its way. When you say a decree, imagine you're already living that reality. Feel the peace of perfect health, the joy of abundant prosperity. Why do decrees work? They work because they align our mind, heart, and energy with what we want to attract. We declare something. We're sending a clear signal to the universe, a frequency that starts to show up in our lives. Plus, decrees help us change our beliefs and let go of those scarcity thoughts. Replacing limits with ideas of abundance and well-being is like tuning an instrument. Each affirmation adjusts our vibe and connects us with what we really want to experience. So, when we say these affirmations day after day, our life starts to line up with that new vibe. Health and prosperity are just reflections of our inner energy. And by affirming, we're changing that energy and attracting the best to us. Here are some daily affirmations you can start using. Every morning when you wake up, you can start with something as simple as, "Today I am health, I am strength, I am abundance." By doing this, you're setting a powerful intention that will guide your day, a vibe that draws in experiences matching that energy. If at any point during the day you feel down or start having negative thoughts, take a moment to repeat your affirmation. You might say, "Every cell in my body radiates health and energy," or "Prosperity flows to me steadily." These little moments of ... connecting with your word has the power to change your mind and remind you of the endless potential you have to create. Decreeing is an act of faith and love, because in the end, it's about believing in and loving ourselves. It's a reminder that we hold the power to shape our lives, to attract the health and prosperity we deserve. It's not about denying reality, but about creating a new one, filling our minds with thoughts that lift us up, inspire us, and remind us that we are the CEOs and creators of our own lives. Every time you make a decree, you're basically telling yourself that you deserve the best, and that you're ready to receive all the good things the universe has to offer. It's an act of trust, a way of affirming your own power. And when you decree from a place of love, from the certainty that life is abundant and generous, you start to see how that truth shows up in every part of your life. It's the principle of rhythm. The law of the pendulum. Life is a constant, back and forth flow that moves with its own rhythm. Invisible pendulum, there are times when we feel on top of the world, where everything seems to flow smoothly, and other times when we sink into the depths, facing challenges and difficulties. This movement, far from being a mistake or punishment, is actually a sign of a universal law. The principle of rhythm is like the law of the pendulum, reminding us that everything in the universe has its own rhythm, its own cycle, and every rise and fall is part of a perfect balance. So what exactly is the principle of rhythm? It tells us ... Everything in life moves in cycles. Every experience has a beginning, a high point, and an end. This flow is natural and necessary, like the heartbeat that keeps us going. Just like the tide rises and falls, day turns into night, and spring follows winter. Our lives follow this same rhythm. When we understand and accept this, we find peace amid the ups and downs, knowing that every change is temporary and every swing will pass. It leads to new learning. I remember a time when, after a period of great growth, it felt like everything stopped. I felt like I wasn't moving forward, like the universe had abandoned me, stuck in a kind of standstill. That's when I discovered this law and realized I was at the low point of the pendulum. That moment of stillness was just a pause before a new upward movement. This law taught me to trust the rhythm of life and understand that everything has its time and pace. The idea of rhythm doesn't just apply to big events. It shows up in everyday life too. Some days we feel full of energy and inspired, and other days we just feel drained and need a break. These cycles are totally natural, and instead of fighting them, we can learn to go with the flow and listen to what we need. Have you noticed how, after a hectic day, you crave calm and rest? Or how, after a quiet period, I tease the urge to act, to create, to move? That's the law of rhythm, reminding us that every phase has its purpose, that each moment prepares us for the next. The law of the pendulum and emotions. One of the places we feel the pendulum most is in our emotions. Some days joy seems to overflow, and the world looks full of colors and possibilities. But there are also gray days, moments of sadness or melancholy that, even though they're hard, are part of the same cycle. The principle of rhythm teaches us this. We shouldn't be afraid of those low moments. There's no need to rush the highs or resist the lows. Every emotion has its purpose, and when we let the pendulum swing freely, we find meaning in each phase. Sadness isn't the enemy. It's a teacher inviting us to look inside and reflect. And joy, even if it doesn't last, reminds us that nothing stays the same. Accepting this rhythm helps us live in harmony when we realize everything in life moves like a pendulum. We learn to live in harmony with those cycles instead of fighting change. We accept that every phase has something to teach us, that every action leads us to a new balance. It's like dancing to the rhythm of life, adjusting to every step and turn without losing our balance. I embrace this truth when I realize that success and stillness are parts of the same whole, that every rise and fall is necessary for our growth. When we're at the top, we enjoy the fruits of our effort, but when we go down, we find the time and space to strengthen ourselves too. Reflect and learn. This rhythm helps us grow, not get stuck, and always seek balance. The rhythm as a spiritual guide, the principle of rhythm also connects us to a deeper dimension, to universal wisdom. It reminds us that just like the seasons change in planets' orbit, we are part of that cosmic movement too. Life isn't a straight line. It's a constant dance, a flow that carries us through different states. When we look at our lives from this perspective, we find comfort amid challenges. We know that just as night turns into dawn, every tough moment will be followed by one of peace. This understanding gives us inner strength of faith in the process that lets us live each stage with calm and gratitude. How to apply the principle of rhythm? Living by the principle of rhythm means accepting every phase of life and trusting that everything happens in its own time, especially when you're in a growth phase. Let's enjoy every moment knowing that this energy is part of the cycle. And when a time of stillness and reflection comes, let's embrace it without rushing. Recognizing it's a time to recharge and reconnect with ourselves. We can apply this idea by learning to listen to our bodies, respecting rest times, and honoring our emotions without judgment. In every part of our lives, rhythm shows us the way. Life is like the sea, and we are like the waves, sometimes moving forward with the flow, strength. Sometimes we come back, but always in perfect balance. The mind transforms through right thinking. Mind is like a garden we tend to every day. In it, thoughts grow that over time become our beliefs, the foundation on which we build our reality. And just like a garden can be filled with flowers that bring us peace and joy, it can also be overrun with weeds that trap us in fear, insecurity, and limitations. But there's a secret to it. Learning to cultivate the right thoughts transforms our mind and, with it, our whole life. What is the right thought? It's way more than just thinking positively. It's a deep commitment to our inner truth, a conscious choice to feed our mind with thoughts that lift us up and remind us of our true potential. It's about steering our mind toward what strengthens us and what we want to bring into our lives. Thinking right is an act of self-love, a daily decision, planting seeds of peace, trust, and love. Remember a time when my mind felt stuck in a maze of doubts and worries? I kept thinking about everything that could go wrong, my flaws, my mistakes. That's when I realized the problem wasn't outside, but in how I was feeding my mind. When I discovered the power of positive thinking, I understood that if I wanted to see a change in my life, I had to start by changing the way I thought. The mind is like a reflection of ... All our experiences start in the mind. Every thought we hold, every idea we accept as true, shapes our inner world and eventually our outer reality. If we think in terms of lack or limitation, that's what we'll see around us. But if we choose to think from a place of abundance and gratitude, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and a fuller life. Have you noticed how your day changes when you start with thoughts of gratitude instead? The mind at its core is like a mirror. What we put into it is what we show to the outside world. Every thought is a choice about the reality we want to live, a statement of what we let grow in our inner garden. The power to choose our thoughts is ours, but sometimes we forget that. We let negative automatic thoughts take over without questioning them or stopping to see if they really help us. But right thinking reminds us that just like we can choose what to do or say, we can also choose what to think. Whenever a limiting thought pops up, we have the chance to replace it with one that empowers us. If a doubt creeps in, we can pause and say, I choose to trust my path. A thought of lack shows up, we can choose to say, abundance flows to me. This is the essence of right thinking, turning what holds us back into something that lifts us up. We're inspired by the practice of right thinking. Changing your mind doesn't happen overnight. It's a constant practice, an act of being, present and aware every single day. We can start with small affirmations that remind us of the power of our mind. Phrases like, I am peace, I am abundance, I am love are like declarations that, when repeated with faith, help clear out our inner garden. It's making room for higher thoughts to grow. I remember at first it felt like a constant effort mine. Mine was so ... I used to cling to fearful and doubtful thoughts, resisting change, but little by little like someone learning to care for a plant. I started replacing those thoughts with affirmations of love and trust. Over time, I realized my mind became a peaceful place, a space where I could find answers, where every thought was a seed of life. Inner transformation and its reflection in reality. When we change our mind, the world around us changes too. The people, the opportunities, the experiences that come to us start to reflect this new vibe. It's like when we align our thoughts with our true selves, the universe responds by showing on the outside what we carry inside. The mind isn't separate from reality. It's the source of it. If we want to live in abundance, we first have to grow abundant thoughts. If we long for peace, we need to let peace bloom in our minds. This is the power of right thinking, gives us the chance to truly be. We're the creators of our own lives, shaping our reality from within. How do we keep the right mindset when things get tough? It's easy to stay positive when everything's going well, but what happens when we face challenges? That's when real practice kicks in. In tough times, the right mindset reminds us that we're bigger than our circumstances, that we have the power to choose how we respond, and to see every challenge as a chance to grow. During one of the toughest times in my life, I chose to hold on to hopeful thoughts and faith. I kept telling myself, this too shall pass. Every experience teaches us something, and even though the pain didn't fade right away, the power of those thoughts gave me the strength to keep going and to see the path clearly. It's the right mindset. Doesn't ignore difficulties, transforms them, giving them purpose and meaning. Faith is like a tool to move mountains of force, so powerful and endless that it can change the course of everything. Our lives are about moving mountains that have at first seemed impossible to cross. But it's not about shallow faith or a passing belief. It's about that deep faith that starts in the soul and turns into an unbreakable certainty. A total trust that even when everything looks dark, there's a light guiding our way. What is faith really? Faith isn't just hoping things will work out. It's a tool, a conviction that drives us to act and believe in the impossible. To see beyond the circumstances is the ability to close your eyes and instead of seeing the problem, see the solution, see the mountain already moved, the obstacle already overcome. Faith is the spark that lights hope, the strength that holds us up when our physical strength is gone. I remember a time in my life when I faced a huge challenge, and everything seemed to point to a bad outcome, like there was no way to get through. That's when I realized I had to look inside myself, that within me, inside me, there was a tool more powerful than any outside resource, faith. I kept telling myself, if I truly believe, if I hold on to this vision with all my heart, the universe will respond. And it did. Faith didn't just give me the strength to get through that moment. It changed how I saw the world. Faith is the key to making the impossible happen. A lot of times, life throws us situations that seem unbeatable. We look at what's going on and feel like it's too big, too complicated. But faith teaches us to see differently, beyond what seems impossible. It reminds us that if we truly believe with all our being, the universe aligns to make that vision come true. It's as if faith is the secret language of the universal language. That doesn't need proof, only absolute certainty. When we say, I believe in this, we're sending a command to the cosmos, inviting invisible forces to work in our favor. Faith is like a key that opens doors that were once closed, an energy that gives us power, the courage to face our mountains and slowly move them. How to build unshakable faith. Faith doesn't always just pop up out of nowhere. Sometimes it's something we have to nurture like planting a seed in our hearts. To grow unshakable faith, we need to practice it every day, even in the little moments and everyday choices. Start with something simple. When you wake up, say a faith-filled affirmation. Like today, everything I need will come to me. Trust that the universe has your back. Perfect purpose for me. Whenever doubt tries to creep in, remind yourself of your conviction. Faith is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. There will be times when doubt is unavoidable, but in those moments, choose faith again and again. Make that choice a conscious act, a daily practice that becomes part of who you are. Faith as an inner transformation. True faith doesn't just change what happens outside. It changes us inside too, helping us grow. Serenity is a kind of peace that doesn't depend on what's going on around us. It lets us live with a deep trust, knowing that everything's okay, even when we don't have all the answers. Faith connects us to our true selves, to that part of us that knows we're so much more than our worries and fears. Faith is like a safe haven, a place we can always come back to. It's that calm space inside us where we know everything is as it should be, where every challenge has its purpose. Experience is a chance to grow when we live with faith. We don't need to know every single detail of the journey. We just trust that the path is there and that we'll reach our destination at the right time. What does moving mountains mean in everyday life? Moving mountains doesn't always mean doing something huge. Sometimes, it's just having the courage to get up each day, face our fears, and stick to our dreams even when the world tells us it's not possible. Every little step counts. Every time you decide to keep going despite the doubts, it's like moving mountains. I remember once when, to move forward, I had to overcome a really deep fear. That fear was my mountain. For a long time, I thought I'd never beat it. But when I filled myself with faith and pictured myself overcoming it, I started to see that mountain shrink. Every step, even a small one, was a win, a sign that faith can turn even the biggest challenges into experiences. Learning faith and the power of visualization, faith isn't just about believing. It's also about seeing with the eyes of the soul. It's picturing the outcome you want so clearly that you feel it's already real. When you practice visualization with faith, you're sending a powerful signal to the universe saying, "This is what I want. This is what I believe." And when that vision is held with faith, the universe responds. Every night before you go to sleep, take a moment to focus on what you want. Imagine that mountain moving. Asterisk, asterisk. Our senses can perceive. Have you ever wondered why we're here? What's the purpose behind our experiences? Those questions, those little doubts, are the seeds of higher consciousness. They invite us to seek answers, to look within ourselves, and to discover a truth that goes beyond what we think we are. Because raising consciousness isn't about filling your mind with knowledge. It's about emptying it of judgments and prejudices and letting the truth reveal itself. That's the power of observation. One of the first steps toward higher awareness is learning to observe without judging. When we live on autopilot, we react to everything without really understanding why we feel or think the way we do. But by practicing mindful observation, we start to see our thoughts, emotions, and actions as things that come and go, without fully identifying with them. I remember when I first started this process, I used to watch my thoughts and notice how many of them were ... How many came from old beliefs or fears that weren't even mine. Over time, I realized that just watching without judging freed me from the weight of those thoughts. They no longer defined my reality. Mindful observation lets us see ourselves clearly and with compassion, which is key to raising our awareness. Living from love and compassion, higher consciousness isn't just about understanding the world. It's about living in harmony with it and acting from that place. Love and compassion lift our awareness, helping us realize that everyone has their own path and lessons, and that we're all here to learn and grow. From that understanding, we start to see others with kindness, recognizing their struggles and mistakes without judgment. Compassion becomes a key part of this journey. When we see someone going through a tough time, our first instinct isn't to criticize or turn away, but to reach out and offer a word of encouragement. because we know that in the end, what we do for others, we do for ourselves. Elevated consciousness connects us to universal love, the kind that doesn't discriminate, doesn't divide, and sees a spark of the divine in every being. The power of the present to raise consciousness, to develop higher awareness we have. To learn to fully live in the present moment. Often our minds get stuck in the past or the future and what was or what could be, but peace is found right here. Right now, living in the here and now is a practice that brings us back to our true selves, connecting us with that part of us that never changes and is always calm. Every day we can take a moment to pause, breathe, and really feel the present moment without running away or resisting it. It's in those moments of presence that we start to notice a peace that goes beyond our situation, a peace that comes from remembering that right now, everything is as it should be. Silence becomes the path to higher awareness in our lives. Everyday life, we're surrounded by noise conversations, thoughts, constant stimuli, but to raise our awareness, we need to find moments of silence and calm. It's in the silence that we hear the voice of our soul, where answers come effortlessly. Silence is a gateway to inner wisdom, to that part of us that has always known the truth. I remember at first silence felt uncomfortable. I was so used to constant thoughts that just ... being calm used to make me uneasy. But over time I realized that silence isn't emptiness, it's fullness, it's peace. It's in that silence where we find the clarity we're looking for, where our consciousness naturally rises. Living with heightened awareness isn't just a one-time thing. It's a lifestyle, a way of seeing and being in the world. Choosing every day to act from love, peace, and truth. It's allowing ourselves to be human and acknowledging our emotions, having doubts but at the same time remembering that we are so much more than that. That's living in harmony with our true selves, honoring every step along the way. Bringing metaphysics into everyday life doesn't mean tuning out the world or searching for answers somewhere far away. It means bringing those universal truths into every part of our daily lives, finding spirituality in every action and seeing the divine in the everyday. It's about recognizing that every thought, every feeling, every word we say carries meaning, energy that transforms our world. Integrating metaphysics means waking up to the presence of the sacred in our lives, not just during peaceful moments, but also in challenges, decisions, the simple and the complex. What does it mean to live metaphysics day to day? It's not about setting aside special time to meditate or think about the universe. It's about bringing those teachings into every part of our lives, applying the power of positive thinking in everything we do. Relationships at work. How we take care of ourselves and interact with others is a way of seeing and living where every action and every word reflects our connection to the divine, to the creative energy within us. I remember at first I thought metaphysics was something just for quiet moments of introspection, for calm times. But little by little I realized that the true essence of metaphysics is in every daily act. Every thought we choose to hold on to, and every choice we make. To live metaphysically means to live with awareness, knowing that every moment is a chance to be a channel of peace, love, and transformation. The power of thought in everyday life. One of the strongest lessons in metaphysics is that our thoughts shape our reality. This isn't just some abstract idea. It has the power to change how we live and how we connect with the world when we choose our thoughts each day from a place of gratitude and abundance. We're literally shaping our lives. Have you ever stopped to notice how your day changes when you start with thankful thoughts instead of complaints? The mind, at its core, reflects our reality, and by consciously choosing the thoughts we hold, we're planting the life we want to live. Embracing metaphysics is largely about remembering that every thought is a seed that can grow into experiences of peace and fulfillment. Language is a tool for this. Words aren't just sounds. They carry energy that affects our surroundings and relationships. Metaphysics teaches us that every word we say is like a decree, a statement of what we want to bring into reality. When we use kind words, we create a peaceful vibe. But when our words are harsh or negative, we bring tension into the air. I remember on my spiritual journey, I realized how often I spoke out of complaint or fear, without realizing that those words were shaping my reality. Integrating metaphysics into everyday life also means being aware of the power of our words. Choosing to speak from a place of peace, gratitude, and love turns every conversation into an act of conscious creation. Practicing gratitude as a form of transformation is one of the most powerful tools we have to raise our energy and change our experiences. It's not just about saying it thanks, but rather than just saying it, it's about adopting an attitude of gratitude in every situation. Seeing every challenge as a chance to grow and recognizing the abundance we already have, it's about embracing metaphysics, living with gratitude all the time, and understanding that every experience has a purpose. In tough moments, practicing gratitude has helped me see the bright side and find lessons even in the hardest situations. Gratitude opens the heart, connects us to the energy of abundance, and reminds us that despite everything, there's always something to be thankful for. Gratitude is like a door to inner peace and a life full of miracles. The law of action. In small decisions and the law of attraction teach us that we draw in whatever we focus our energy and attention on. Bringing this into daily life doesn't just mean chasing big dreams. It's about applying it in the little choices and everyday details. Every time we choose to focus on the positive and on what we want instead, what we fear, we're actually using the law of attraction. For example, when facing a challenge at work or in a relationship, instead of focusing on the problem, we can picture the solution. We can declare that the situation will work out for everyone's good. By doing this, we're using the law of attraction consciously. We're tuning our energy to the outcome we want and clearing the way for that reality to show up. Meditation and staying present help with this. Meditation is a key practice in metaphysics, but it doesn't have to be something you only do in quiet moments. We can bring meditation into everyday life by staying connected to the present moment. That means being fully present in whatever you're doing, whether you're working, talking with someone, or doing a simple task. When we stay in the now, we tune into our true selves and find peace and clarity. Every moment can be a chance to meditate, coming back to ourselves while washing the dishes, walking, or listening to someone. Vera isn't just about closing your eyes and breathing. It's about living fully aware, letting every action become a sacred act. Relationships as a space for growth. Relationships are fertile ground to apply metaphysical teachings. Every person who enters our life is a mirror, a chance to see ourselves and to learn. When we look at others through the lens of metaphysics, we understand that each interaction is a chance to practice love, patience, and understanding. I've learned that every relationship is a lesson, an opportunity to see my own flaws and to heal. Bringing metaphysics into our relationships means realizing that love is the foundation of all interactions, that judgment and criticism only create distance, and that every encounter is a chance to grow our ability to love. Metaphysics as a way of life means weaving this understanding into everything we do. Everyday life isn't just a one-time thing. It's a way of living, a way of seeing and connecting with the world. It's waking up each day with the intention to be a living expression of peace, love, and gratitude. It's finding a lesson in every experience, an opportunity in every challenge, and a spark of the divine in every person. It's remembering that every action, no matter how small, has an impact on the universe. This chapter invites you to live metaphysics in every corner of your life, to find the sacred in the simple, to bring spirituality into everything you do and think. Because when we live with awareness and let metaphysics guide us, we realize life itself is an act of creation, a reflection of who we truly are. So how can you start bringing metaphysics into your life today? Maybe with a positive thought, a loving word, or a simple act of gratitude. Remember, every moment is a chance to live in peace, be a light for others, and turn your life into an expression of the divine. What's inside you? If this audiobook inspired you, just imagine what you can discover with many more. Don't let knowledge and spiritual growth stop here. Check out our full playlist and dive into more life-changing wisdom. And if you really want to lift your life with different perspectives on spirituality, I invite you to visit my channel, Chronicle of Knowledge, where you'll find deep spiritual content to keep expanding your mind and being. Don't miss the chance to keep growing, changing your reality, Take the next step now. Thanks a lot.